just wanted to make a really quick documentation. I've just been sitting with my partner in one of the hotels, and I'll just try and make this as quick as possible. A lovely lady got talking to us, a northern lady. Well, actually, she overheard me speaking to my partner. And she wanted to speak to me because I all the heavy things I was talking about, the PTSD, she's on a waiting list to get, is it EDM, EMF? I'm going to have to look it up. Some kind of therapy. I think I've heard of it. I can't say exactly what she said because it would sound very big-headed, but she paid me a lot of compliments. And she said, I'm very intelligent and one day I'll be helping other people. And I won't say all the things that she said, but she said it was an honour to speak to me. She said, you're very, very intelligent. And I said, well, because she overheard what I was saying. And I said, no, this is just me learning and experiencing as I go along. The people that I've met, the victims of satanic ritual abuse and everything. Well, it turns out I thought she was a mental health nurse. She's not. She worked in a mental health unit. She was some kind of an operations thing where you go in and you see what people need, and I suppose a bit like the friends of the hospital, where they come around and ask you if you want a magazine or something. The Friends of Eastbourne Hospital, that's the NHS though. I'm so glad she doesn't work, because I told her about the abuse I had in the psychiatric unit. I told her about the MP giving my partner a caring role and him being banned from visiting me, the abuse in there, the abuse of powers, the corruption, the tyranny. I've told her everything. And I think she was overwhelmed at the knowledge I have. No surprise there. Now, the thing is, she was absolutely lovely with the things she said, and she said she'd be praying for me, and she knows that my faith has been strengthened through my partner. Now, the thing is, she said that I can see, because obviously I'm highly strung, I'm carrying all this stress. I had to explain to her, because, she's talking about, we often hurt the people that we love. She said that's the name of a song. And she said, what music do you listen to? And she said, I like Madness. I said, well, something I didn't tell her, that Madness are actually part of the, like a lot of the 80s groups, they're like the modern groups, the MK Ultra. I didn't tell her that because I was telling her so much, but I told her about the conference and Jeanette Archer, and I met Jeanette Archer's. I met victims of satanic ritual abuse. I met Jeanette Archer's bodyguard at the conference, and the speaker, who's a friend of my late mother's. But even Madness, who were friends with Adamant, I very nearly didn't tell her about Adamant, but I did, because you either, understand or you don't. I think she was learning though. I think she had ears to hear. She'd travelled 200 miles. So she had ears to hear, which is good, because she was telling me, when she got to the point where she was telling me that she had a go at a patient because they wouldn't wear a mouth mask. Don't even get me started on Convid. I can't keep up with all the medical stuff because that's the stuff that's not my area. But I know that in the Satanic Ritual Abuse Conference that Jeanette Archer was a part of, one of the triggering things for one of the survivors was the mouth masks, because, these Satanists, these psychopath murderers, they do these masquerades, and that's what triggered him. So when she said she had a go at a patient, I said, look, there's something I need to tell you. And I thought, how can I say this? So I said, in a parallel universe, there would have been a time when I too might have worn a mouth mask because I want to do the right thing. But I could see what was going on, and I met a fraud investigator. You know what? The fraud investigator that I met in the psychiatric unit, John Patterson, we both met a victim of actual satanic ritual abuse. John Patterson, the fraud investigator, was there because he'd gone to Scotland Yard and the Ministry of Defence had him shut away, and he showed me legalese documents to do with baby organ harvesting. And that, I got to keep my voice down because there's a baby there. But he was showing me legalese documents in the psychiatric unit that were evidence of the NHS purchasing baby organs for harvesting. So basically, this is the sacrifice of babies and children under SRA in our NHS hospitals, where we have actually got psychopaths and murderers, according to many testimonies, including the Light newspaper, which I mentioned in one of my previous videos. So it's very important that I say these things. So there's me going across the way to get my very, very delicious food, which they are very generous with, from helping the homeless. Warming up the homeless. And see, the thing is, I have got to, because of the trauma that has been caused to me with all the police beatings, and I was telling her about what they did at SDR Living, etc., etc., because she's come down here from up north and she feels so much better because of the sea. I said, if it wasn't for the sea and the countryside here, I think I would have gone nuts, or I'd be lying in a ditch or something. But she said to me, she absolutely showered me with compliments and said it was an honour to meet me. Now, I hope she meant that, but I said, look, I'm just me. I'm just speaking my truth. I have learnt from other people. I've seen, experienced, witnessed so much. But she's going to be praying for me. Be nice if she used Yahweh's name. But I said I would find, now I do what people, she hasn't seen me dancing and having a good time. It's actually me that dances at the bandstand, and my partner actually falsely offered to, you'll see me do moves I've never done before, and he just stood there. So actually I am actually doing all the things she's already talked about. But she said, I need to stop putting myself down. I actually told her that I've made... It's a difficult one, this, because I've made allowance... How can I word this? There are no ways to word it. I've made allowances for my partner's mental health where I've also taken things out on him because, of course, there's no one else to turn to, is there? So, yes, and we often hurt the ones that love us. But the thing is, his family haven't been there for me, and his friends have abused me. He was arrested in his friend Eben's flat. Eben's a lawyer. She should know better. She's abused me. And I have lost all this confidence to the point where I have to go to adult social care for help with this. And I told her about Juliet, who was a witness in the street when I was attacked at Belmore Road. Now, this lady I'm speaking to is a northerner herself. And it's quite rough where she comes from. There are constant sirens. But I've told her an awful lot. I told her about the conference I went to. It's not making sense how my partner's friends have treated me. And one of them they're both Christians, and one of them works at the food bank. And I said, my trust has been taken, has been exploited. But anyway, what I really liked her saying to me was, one day I've had other people say this to me, one day you'll be helping others. And what would you say to a 14, 15-year-old who's feeling suicidal, sat opposite you? And I said, well, firstly, I'd say I've been suicidal too at the age of 15. I'm 41. And I'd say, would you mind if I pray for you? And she said, that's brilliant. I said, well, I'm not one of those people. I don't like evangelists, people who shove it down your throat. It's something I would do anyway, but in quiet. But I'm not used to... And she got that because she's the same. Anyway, she's had an abusive partner who's been an alcoholic. I won't go into the nasty personal stuff, but she had to learn about mental health. And what made her want to work in a mental health unit was the fact that 40 years ago, when she was 8 years old, she witnessed her mother in the psychiatric unit, who was being given all these... They pumped her up on all this nasty medication and, poisons, as I've learned, the $1 billion industry. And she was told not to look in her mother's bag. So she's had to absorb a lot. And her mother or someone had said to her, don't talk to other people in the psychiatric unit. So I think that made her curious. And it was her curiosity that made her learn about mental health. Now, she's got trauma issue herself. One of the reasons why she's getting this EMD or something treatment for PTSD was because, like my transgender sister, she was attacked when she did care work. And I said, well, it's funny that, because exactly the same thing happened to she was able to laugh about it. I said, I don't know how my sister could do it, because it's such a... my middle sister, she was knocked unconscious by a very, very large, very violent woman with special needs. And I said, anyone who can do that is very brave. It's hard enough working with the elderly, I found, but I said I was bullied by a matron very badly. I didn't tell her it made me physically violently sick on my first day of work on the next job. But that's because the trauma, ever since I was a baby, has been building up over the years. So just because I'm middle class and you can judge me on my appearance, this is where the discrimination comes in. So I said, but she commented on my youthful look. I said, well, I don't drink or smoke or take drugs or anything like that. So that's probably why, because the stress should be showing. But they're not seeing, as Dr. William Snowblum said about rat poison, about 90% of it is good stuff. It's only a tiny percent that's poison. It would take a while to kill that rat. It tastes good. It's just that tiny speck. And this is how this feels, because it will eat away like a cancer, because I haven't had a mental breakdown yet, so I couldn't actually say everything I wanted to say to her. She was very, very lovely before she said goodbye. She held my hand and she said she'd pray for me. She said, I'm going to be praying to God tonight about you. So praise Abba Yahweh. Michelle was her name. She said, you will get through this and you will help others. I'm just me being me. That's a huge compliment. That's some affirmation, but all I ever wanted was just, I said to my partner, I said, because I wouldn't be putting so much onto him, but all I needed was just a little bit of acknowledgement. If I had that acknowledgement from his family, from his parents, that would go a long way. And maybe I wouldn't have mentally broken down to this extent. But I do understand what he means when my partner says about, we've all been affected. We've all got this spiritual warfare and everything going on. So I get it. I do agree with him. But at the same time, with everything that's happened to me, it's getting that balance right, because I do need that reassurance. I do. And whilst I don't go to the ego, the self, because that's what the enemy is about, all this Satanism and New Age stuff is about the ego, the self. The thing is, it's still always there. So it's a difficult one. It is a difficult one. It really is. It's a daily battle, and I need my daily bread. Just keep praying to Abba Yahweh, basically. Anyway, I thought I'd show this. I had my delicious food from the homeless charity. I was also annoyed. As I said, it only has to take one thing to flip you the other way. Excuse me. Excuse me there. Earlier today I went to use the bathroom and I found my sponge was on the hallway floor, and the bathroom, which has been allocated just for me, thank goodness. You're willing, Abba Yahweh, praise that. But that bathroom that's just for room 2, which is me here. It's funny how I'm in room 2 again, isn't it? There are dogs here, and I'm assuming it's a dog because who would throw your stuff out into the hallway? Because even if it's just a bath sponge, it's still your possessions, isn't it? And it's unhygienic because I had to throw it in the bin. And I've got crippling OCD, which is part of my disability, my severe disability. So I found it. I just walked out of my room and I saw, because I always close the bathroom door, but I found my sponge was on the floor out here and my exfoliating mitts were also on the floor. So I'm assuming that a dog had, because I heard dogs outside and they just bolted it. And so they'd gone in I assume one dog or a dog had gone into the bathroom and just and it's already stressing me out because the washing machine had to get video evidence that there are handfuls of dog hairs in the washing machine, which is why I can't use the washing machine. So I have to get on a bus because there's no laundrette here to do my laundry. There is a church up the road that will do they have washing machines to help vulnerable homeless type people, but yeah, but it doesn't take much to flip a person, you know, even if it seems like a small thing. And with everything that's already happened, I wouldn't even be here if my partner hadn't, and his dad's money getting me here, and to Brighton and Hellingly for travel, for hotels, because obviously I've been wiped out with thousands of pounds, like 9 months self-funding the Cavendish for my safety alone because I was attacked. So, yes, but the bottom line is I have to do what I have to do. I was saying to my partner on the phone about, you know, because he's the one who strengthened me, my faith, because he's the one who knows about the Hebrew Aramaic scriptures. But I was saying to him, you know, I keep on and on and on at him. I just needed that reassurance. Oh, but his parents don't get it. So it's the same with my godparents who didn't want to know and thought there was a big deadly killer out there. There's only one big killer out there, and it's a club of psychopaths. Just a little club, just a few at the top of that little pyramid. Yeah. But I was even when this lady asked me about Adamant. Ooh, Adamant, stand and deliver. And I told her that Adamant's friend lived across the road from our house, Pamela. She's the famous punk, and she was on the list of many celebrities. She got Adam to write to me. She worked across the road from our house. She's on a list of celebrities who've been bumped off because I saw her face on this poster saying about the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band, thanks to Mark Devlin. And that's how I found out she'd died. You know. It's always suspicious circumstances, like Sinead O'Connor. That's another one. We don't know the cause of death. It's very bizarre. I still don't know how my father died. People are just dying all over the place, but there was Pamela's face, Jordan, on a whole list of all these celebrities who died. And that's how I found out she died. And she was the one who said to me, in our hometown, she said, maybe you can what do you call it? Build bridges between you and your sister, because she helped my sister, my transgender sister, with her college work because she's doing acting or something. And she wanted to ask questions about the punk era to get some facts right. And I think she just wanted to talk to Jordan. I remember I was so happy that she showed Jordan some drawings I did of her 20 years ago as some punks. It's so bizarre that she's just gone, you know. It's like my father, you know. But I'm literally waiting for the second coming. Anyway, my partner won me this watch. Pretty nice, hey? You could get that in the jewellers. Really nice. He won that for me. And he said to me, here's one of my other watches. I've got 2 others. I just need 3 more and I'll have one for every day of the week. So he's been winning me bits and pieces. I know you probably lose more than you put in more than you get out, but it's just about having some time out and having a bit of pleasure on the seafront, you know. So nice, isn't it? So that I've got another shade of pink watch, but it's a gift. It's a gift, and it matters. So, but there we go. But now she's learnt. That lady has learnt something from me about convid. She's learnt that adamant. I don't know if she'll retain this information, but adamant is. She said you need to think of yourself and not be so. I am thinking of me, yeah. But the thing is, this is not just being passionate. This and highly strung. A lot of it is. This is about the truth. And I said to her, one day I will be out on the street with a loudhailer speaking out. And I mean it. And that's when she said, it's been a pleasure to meet you and I'll be praying for you. So thank you. Thank you, Michelle. But I talked about all the stuff I talk about on my YouTube channel. And on that note, I've just found out that what Watership Down is now, because that in my adult years, it's made me wonder if that has satanic undertones, and it does. So it's been confirmed. It's now officially a PG and not a universal. My middle sister and my late mother went to the cinema. She said it was beautiful on the big screen. Watership Down. But yes, I didn't realise that other children had been traumatised by it. I was traumatised by the film. I found it both emotional and traumatic because of all the gore and the satanic undertones. It's funny, you know, there's someone who used to live across the road from where I am here when I was a child. We watched the film together. And I remember her laughing and pointing and going, oh, look, the dog is weeing. I said, what? Wind it back, you know, with the old videotape, wind it back. She'd have a look. Oh, yeah, he's weeing against the telegraph, the pylon thing. So And I live in my childhood, I do. I'm constantly in the 1980s, I am. But yeah, no, that film was very emotional, and it makes me think of my mother and the countryside. Well, I remember she drove through Watership Down one time, and she said, we're actually going through Watership Down right now. I was like, really? Well, I see more rabbits back home. And of course, the village where we used to visit friends, I won't say which village because I'll give it away, but the village where the speaker from the Truthers Conference, Ray Savage, where he lives, is not like literally down the road from us. And my mother used to drive into the village saying, this is where the snowman flew over, you know. So I get very emotional about these things. But yeah, Bright Eyes and Watership Down is very haunting, very eerie. Now that I know that it really does have satanic undertones and what was in the songs. But everything has memories for me, even here, because I'm up the hill is a house where I grew up, where a few roads up where my sister lives, and I lived in my sister now lives in this town, but one of the houses I grew up in here, in this town, was a lot of paranormal activity, because my sister saw me when I wasn't there. And there's a lot of pagan stuff, generational curses. I'm gifted in the satanic sense, so it's not a gift. My mother's blood mother was gifted, and her blood brother was into tarot cards. And yeah, so as I said, my middle sister and her friend saw me when I wasn't there. It's not a doppelganger, it's an apparition, it's an entity that is emulating me, and it's from the dark underworld. So a priest had told my mother to go in there with holy water, basically, and tell them to basically get out. And she did, and nothing, and then it stopped after that. But there are a lot of emotional memories. It was my adoptive grandmother's house. And happy memories, happy and painful memories. I could say some other things, but people aren't going to understand it. People from my past, the girl who lived across the road here, and funnily enough, this house, my childhood best friend from primary school pointed to this house. I'm pretty sure it was this one, and she said she lived here. Well, she grew up before she moved to Bishopstone. I haven't seen her for years. There are a lot of... And then there's my sister, who's now living in the house that friends from my infant school here lived in, and she lives there with her husband, and she rents out her other house here. So there are a lot of memories here. So there we go. I could elaborate further, but I think I'm just going to leave it there for now. And I'm going to say, just leave it at that, really, yeah. So, nice gift. So I just say, Shalom Yahweh.